Welcome to the You Need More Money podcast. I'm your host, Matt Manero, where I come to you each and every week from my studio in Big D. The D is for Dallas, Texas. I'm going to give everybody who's listening today something at the end of the podcast. It's my gift to you, so don't get off just yet. Stick around because you're going to want to get your hands on this because it's the topic of today's podcast. I'm talking about grit. What is this thing called grit, this mental toughness that doesn't exist in so many people? It's like, where did all the tough ones go, man? Where did all the gritty people go? And as I begin to explore where did the grit go in business, I realized that it's not that the people within the organization aren't gritty, it's that the leaders suck. Leaders don't know how to extract grit from their employees. They think it just happens, that the employee base should be as gritty as the ownership. It never works like that. It's the owner's responsibility to extract grit from the workforce, and most of us do it poorly. And the reason we do it poorly is what I'm going to talk about on today's podcast. I'm going to start with a story that actually happened here in the office, and it's right out of my book, The Grit, which I'm going to give to you at the end of this podcast. I'm going to give you the link to get your hands on The Grit free of charge. Cost you nothing. It's my gift to you just for listening. I'd love for you to review the podcast or subscribe to it, of course, but this is your free gift anyway. So, we no longer at my company have in-house IT. We outsource it to a third-party IT provider now. And that was a really smart move for us that occurred after one of our IT managers left us in the middle of the night, stuck his key under the door, and basically said, sayonara, good luck. That actually turned out to be a blessing in disguise because that guy was making $125,000 a year and he was always flirting with the receptionist. And now we outsource it to an outside company. It's a fraction of the cost, and they manage our systems 24/7, 365, and they do a better job than when we had the guy in-house. So to that guy, if you're listening, I appreciate you. You saved us a lot of money and a lot of headaches when you quit in the middle of the night. You know when that happens, right? When that employee that you count on so much just sticks the key under the door and quits in the middle of the night. You've had it happen to you, right? Hell, it reminds me of the old Andrew Carnegie quote that said, if you're in business and you haven't been sued, then you're really not in business. My point is, if you're in business and you hadn't had an important employee quit in the middle of the night and leave your ass high and dry, then you really ain't in business. You don't want it to happen, but it does happen. It's happened to us a bunch. And actually, I think a lot of it was my fault because I was such a gritty guy, such a gritty leader, and I didn't really know how to maximize and extract grit from my people because I didn't do this one thing, which is called setting objectives. Let me get back to my story. The previous IT manager to the guy that quit in the middle of the night helped us build a program, a coding program. And we were launching it on our servers one day after months and months of developing and delays and scope problems. But eventually we had the program done and we were launching it to the group. It was a big day for us. It was a big initiative for us. And the morning of that initiative, I get a call from the IT manager who says, hey man, I can't come in today. And I said, why can't you come in? He says, my dog got eaten by a coyote. He lived out in the country. He said, my dog got eaten by a coyote. I can't come in. And you know what I said to the guy? I don't give a fuck about your dog. Get your ass into this office and launch this program the way we said it was going to be launched today. Now, that is grit. That is tough. It's also the wrong way to handle it. I would never handle that situation like that today because I wouldn't use the F word, but everything else would be a requirement. Trust me, his ass would be in this office whether his dog got eaten or not. To me, that's grit. I just wouldn't have been an asshole about it like I was. I would have been nicer about it. I would have explained that how important his role to the organization is, how the expectation that we set was so vital for him to come in and help us, how the rest of the office needs this program and it deserves this program and nothing should stand in the way of us launching. That's how I would handle that today. But back then, I didn't care. I was so dirty, nasty, gritty street fighting. And that's the problem, man. Most people in work don't want to be that way. And you don't have to be an asshole to be gritty. You just need to set crystal clear expectations for people. What is their job description? What are they required to do? And then once that is clearly set, communicated, and agreed upon, you have every right to push to extract a gritty, tough mindset to reach the goals that you're setting, the objectives that are being set, the results over a specific period of time that you've set, agreed upon, communicated over. You just remember me. You can't be an a-hole about it. That cannot exist in great companies with great company culture and in the individual of great leadership. The ability to be gritty and tough is a requirement. It's fine. You just can't be an a-hole about it like I was. So back to how you extract it, which connects to this objective and expectations. Every single person in your organization must know exactly what is required of them. It starts with a filter. So in your hiring process, hopefully you're searching, you're fishing in the right kind of pond. You're not hiring your sister-in-law to come and work because she doesn't have a job and you can pay her and she won't get evicted. That's not a filter. Talking about going to the marketplace, hiring people that have experience for the position you're hiring for, and trying to find the best possible person you can. Then through the interview process, you must do data pulls. You must do personality testing. We do the predictive index. I've talked about it on previous episodes. In fact, if you go back and listen to one of those episodes, I actually gave you the opportunity to get your predictive index free of charge. We got bombarded by those requests, by the way, but that's okay. I want to help. So it starts with searching in the right pond, finding people of better quality who have skills that relate to your position, then the predictive index as second part of your filter, and then a crystal clear job description once you hire them. I would even back up and say you should put them through a working interview too. A day or two, pay them, cut them a check at the end of the day for what their compensation would be for that period of time, but put them through some work. Let them test themselves. Let them see if they can do the work. Let you see if they can do the work. And then once you hire them, it starts with a crystal clear job description in which everything that you expect of them is written down on a piece of paper and talked about, communicated about, gone over with them, and then agreed upon by both parties. Because what happens is there's no job description and they think their job and expectations are completely different than what you think. And that's when the animosity begins to start. That's where the problem starts because that's the most difficult thing to communicate about. Hey, you're not living up to your expectations. You got to know how you're going to handle that. And maybe if you send me an email to mmanero@CFF Nationwide and ask me for it, I'll be happy to go through the process of how you actually communicate with people who are missing their objectives. You think you've clearly laid the whole thing out and they still miss. That's when it's most difficult to communicate with that employee. But we can do that on another podcast. I think it's really important for you to understand when and how that conversation happens, because I've done it so many times in the last 4 years post-Torch that I really know how to do it. I know how to extract toughness and grit from people without being an a-hole. And if they miss and they're not living up to that gritty expectation that we've agreed upon, I know exactly how to test it one more time and then say goodbye to them in a professional adult manner. You got to remember, man, we're working with people here. We're not working with objects or robots. People are parents, they're spouses, they're brothers, they're sisters, they're people. And I used to treat them like objects because I was so gunning for this $100 million number. And when I changed, we hit $170 million. You can do the same thing in your business. Your business can double, triple, quadruple, whatever that goal is that you have for yourself and your business. You can do it through grit and expectations. You just can't be an a-hole. So that's my message today. Now here's the giveaway. Go to mattmanero.com/grit download. mattmanero.com/grit download. And my book, The Grit, is yours free of charge. It's 100 pages. Someone just reached out on social this week and said they read it in 100 minutes and it was the best 100 minutes they'd ever spent. 100 pages, take you a couple hours to get through it, if that. You might even get through it in an hour. And it's just the basics, man. Blocking, tackling, chopping wood, and how do you get a gritty mindset installed back in your business? Again, mattmanero.com/grit. Download my gift to you. If you want to go further on a lot of the stuff that we continue to talk about on the You Need More Money, you got to do two things. One, go buy my book on Amazon, You Need More Money, $20. And the second thing is go to bfssummit.com and think about coming to my Growth Summit September 28, 29, and 30th in Dallas. I'll see you down the road.